Hey guys, what is up? So Jeff Wittek and David Dobrik, the beef. It's warranted, but the beef. Let's just get right into this video. So I think like a little bit after 8 minutes or so, Jeff starts talking about how he's on a lot of drugs because of his, ninth eye surgery? So when he's talking about David, Jeff shares with us that this is filmed at a later time because he wanted to be sober for all of this. So Jeff has his friend there, I believe his name is Cody, and Jeff shares with us that he unfollowed David Dobrik on Instagram. Jeff even goes on to call David a slimy fuck. And I thought it was very interesting that in the beginning of this podcast, Jeff calls out Jason Nash, thanks Jason Nash for reaching out to him. So I just thought it was interesting that he made sure he made that point before he even really started the podcast. So after Jeff calls David a slimy fuck, he goes on to say that there's way much more to this story than David just not texting him for a week after his last eye surgery. He goes on to say that the documentary that he made, he really sugarcoated it when it came to David. He goes on to say that it takes a real long time to see people's true colors and that he really sees David for what he is. Jeff shares with us that at that time he really did try to salvage David's image because he thought David was a friend. But the real reason why Jeff is pissed off at David, what basically started up all of these emotions again, is because David had apparently did a documentary with Casey Neistat. Look guys, I'm not super new to YouTube, but I don't really know who he is, but I Googled him and looked at his YouTube channel. Has a bunch of subscribers, millions of them. So this documentary is supposed to be coming out next month. And in this documentary, David basically states that it was Jeff's fault, which is very interesting because when we look at this footage, who is steering or driving that crane? It's not Jeff. Now, did Jeff participate? Obviously he did, and he even states that he will always have to live with the fact that he did participate in this. He did get on that crane. But the fact that David was able to sit there in front of a camera and be like, this was all of Jeff's fault, he wanted this, he's crazy like this. Now, Jeff shares with us that it was Casey the one who called him, FaceTimed him to show him the clip where David was like, this is Jeff's fault, etc. Casey basically wanted to give Jeff the heads up and is not allowing David to edit anything. So then Jeff discusses how upset he was that David insinuated that it was Jeff's idea, etc., after David was begging him, to get on there. And Jeff even goes on to say that just because you give out free cars to people, that's fake. It doesn't make you a genuine nice person just because you do all these good deeds on camera. Oh, and another thought real quick, I want to know. When David got that deal on the Discovery Channel, did you ask Jeff, hey, do you want in? Now, I understand if Jeff was like, no, because he is still going through surgeries on his face. I completely get it. But I want to know, did David at least ask? That's the tea right there as well. That's what I want to know. Jeff even shares us a story of right after his accident, I guess he was sitting in the passenger seat, literally right after his accident, and Kourtney Kardashian called David Dobrik. And Jeff got upset because David basically told Kourtney, look what this idiot did. He's so crazy. He's so wild. So after that conversation was over with, Jeff tells us that he told David that is not how the narrative is going to go. He told David that, listen, you're not going to spin this to where it's my fault. Please don't spin this narrative like this is my fault. This is your fault. So Jeff tells us that he was very clear about that. Jeff even goes on to share with us that in that documentary, he let David edit it. He actually let David edit it. And then he goes on to say, this is how it went down. So he had just, gotten back from an eye surgery. He was lying on the bed, apparently with the patch on, and blood was basically falling from his face. And David just walks in, skips him, and just goes right into the room to edit. So Jeff painted this picture of really David not giving a fuck, only caring about his image. And then the situation just keeps getting worse because Jeff then goes on to say that he got like an infraction on his credit because David was supposed to cover his hospital bills and didn't cover a bill or so. And to me, what Jeff was really telling us was that was just another sign that David did not give a fuck. Jeff even talks about like meeting this group of people. You know, he was just getting out of a bad relationship with, I might add, Sierra Ramirez. He was just getting out of a bad relationship. And, you know, here was this group of people. And he hopes that he can still remain friends with at least some of them. He even goes on to say that it's so ironic how he had an eye incident, but he can see things so much more clear now. And then Jeff ends the video by asking us if he should sue David. And I thought it was funny because, one, I do think he's like serious, but two, he knew, one, this whole entire video was basically going to have everyone come for David on all of his socials. Like, you're a horrible person, you know? And two, now he's like spinning this. I mean, it was already like talks on the internet a while ago that Jeff should have sued David. But now when people are coming for David Dobrik, they're going to be leaving in the comments, that's why Jeff is going to sue you. He should sue you. You know what I mean? I don't blame Jeff. To me, this similarity is just as equivalent to like Jeff was a victim. You know, in the beginning, it's just so, there's so many similarities of how in the beginning, like, no, this is not what happened. Like, no, he's really my friend. Like, kind of in denial. You know, even his friend Cody was like, I believe his name is Cody, was like, you also enabled David, you know, by kind of like joking about it, agreeing with it, because Jeff went on to say like he thought how this whole situation went down, that he was just going to be making jokes about this for like the rest of his life. But that's not the case, you know? I think it takes time. Just like victims, you don't realize that, oh, this is my abuser, you know what I mean? And that's just like an analogy, but you don't really realize that. And of course, Jeff is the type that just comes off as he never wants to seem vulnerable, but there is just a lot of similarities here. Now, my thoughts about David Dobrik, first off, Jeff should sue him. I mean, he should have been done that shit, but because in my eyes, Jeff was a victim, it takes a long time. Now, Jeff is putting things into perspective, seeing things for what they really are, David's true colors. I'm hoping that he does sue David because this is a life injury. At least Jeff will get some closure. What pisses me off the most, I know these people are rich, but still, what pisses me off the most is that David should be paying for Jeff's fucking transportation. David should be, first off, calling Jeff every single day. Like, even if you did not give a flying fuck, pretend to give a fuck. Set your iPhone on reminder to call your friend to see how you're doing. David should be paying for those black shades that are on Jeff's face, all the shades in the future for Jeff on David's card. David should be paying for, if Jeff got to use some eye cream, David pay for that shit. David should be paying for anything, yeah, sue him. That's what I think. I think to sue him. And I'm glad for whenever this documentary comes out, I guess in a month, David's gonna have to relive all of this again, and maybe the second time around, he'll understand the severity of his actions, because clearly he doesn't get it. For him to say that this was all of Jeff's fault, who the fuck was moving the crane then? Was it not you? Was it not you? If I was David Dobrik and I went home and I was just like, fuck that dude, fuck Jeff. But when you listen to the people around you, there's no way no one is saying, hey dude, you need to take accountability, responsibility for this shit. Did he not learn anything from Dom? Anyways, I think Jeff should sue for lifelong injuries. And if you guys want to know more of just my opinions about just David Dobrik and the Vlog Squad and this whole incident with Jeff, I also did create a doc on this, so I'll leave that also in the description below. But let me know what you guys think about this. I mean, I think it's safe. Everyone, for the most part, is just like, Jeff, fucking sue. Please do it for yourself. Do it for you. But anyways, leave a comment below. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you soon on the next video. Bye, guys.